Good morning. Welcome to Blueprint, the B2B marketing podcast. Today with me, I've got Nishan Suvarna, the CEO of Bluestream. Nishan, welcome. Great having you here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jakub.
Let's jump right in.
Sure.
So you are a biomedical engineer. You turned an entrepreneur and built Bluestream from the ground up. I wonder if there was any particular moment that encouraged you to start your own business.
So, I think entrepreneurship kind of runs in the family for me.
In your blood.
In your blood, you could say. And back when I was in college, it took me back by calling me a biomedical engineer. But back then I realized we were already experimenting, trying to make an organization that would allow students to sell stuff on campus, hot dogs and stuff like that. It was quite new back then, but I think they actually have a name for it now at Hopkins. But I think that's when I really realized that this is what I wanted to do. And when I came back and joined my father here, we were a 3-member firm back then, and then I stuck with it. I think there were several times along the way when I realized this is exactly what I was meant to do. And I think you cannot culminate it in one instance, which was the reason for the jump. It was several, reinforcements along time, and you knew, okay, this is really what I'm supposed to do. And as you start to enjoy it over time.
So confirming and confirming and confirming.
Yeah, over time.
So this starts like an exciting story. Now you have to tell me what Bluestream is. I mean, I know it, but I'll let you pitch as an entrepreneur.
So Bluestream is a design to manufacture firm that specializes in urban design.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with institutional clients, large-scale clients, projects. We design urban elements for them and manufacture it, install it, and manage it after if need be with after sales. So it's a direct-to-customer entity, and we provide a lot of value by offering several services at one go as a one-stop shop that does it. So we work across 5 verticals mainly. So waste containers, we really are, if you're in Dubai for 24 hours, you've used one of our products. That's the airport,
That's
any of the
pitch.
malls.
That's a good pitch.
Right? Any of the malls, the Palm, what have you. So waste container is something we specialize in. We probably are the most versatile waste container factory in the world, come to think of it. Even more recent mega projects like NEOM buy all of their waste stuff from us. We also do a lot of stuff with urban design, street furniture.
Mm-hmm.
We also do a lot of stuff along play systems, outdoor design for play. And also we are in partnership with Nord Engineering for their waste collection, automated waste collection systems, containers, cranes, and so on.
Right. I mean, I've seen your premises and manufacturing space. This looks pretty impressive. If you were to look back at what happened with the company and you saw until now, what were the key moments or decisions that you made that brought you where you are today with Bluestream?
I think scaling up a firm in many cases, in many ways than one, is a lot of trial and error and a lot of real customer intel. It goes without saying that several steps to the way we started with, back when I joined the firm, we were just doing plastic bins.
Mm-hmm.
That was our core product, and maybe a couple of other kinds of litter bins. It's along the way when customers started demanding more from us, and we listen to them as we engage towards street furniture, moved towards other elements in urban design, and more recently architectural elements. But there were several pivotal points, whether it was customers requesting more products from us or us deciding that the only real way to give value to our customers is by manufacturing these products ourselves. Because we realized a lot of what's happening in the region is buy and sell, trading. And these are products made for absolutely different markets. You could have products made for the European market, which are fine with temperate conditions. So the coating, the surface protection, everything works well for European climates.
So product market fit.
Yes. And in this market, we identified that the weather is a lot more abrasive. Our summers are ridiculous. The amount of moisture and salt content in our air is crazy. This has a huge impact on the lifetime and durability of the product.
So it's what you say. So very much sounds like a marketing soul. This podcast is about marketing. and you say listen to clients.
Yes.
So I take it as a learning that actually I think it's the highest form of expression of this marketing mindset, that you actually take the client into account, which is not often the case. Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't speak for others, but for us, I think it's fundamental. Listening to the client is kind of how we function. And it's driven the strategy along the way, I would say.
Great.
To a large extent.
I'm very excited about meeting, a growing company like yours. So far on this podcast, I was hosting experts from international organizations, corporations, and those are very much rich in capital and resources, established brand, sales channels, you name it. I mean, I would say they have everything. With a growing company, it's quite the opposite. I mean, it's all the time limitations. I wonder, what are the challenges that you face on a daily basis? What is difficult?
So and I think difficult is a relative term, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to compare it with, let's say, corporations, there's quite a bit of difference between the two. I think I personally enjoy a growth company much more, I would say, but it's a different mindset altogether. In a growing company, you're building processes, systems along the way. Situations are much more aggressive because not everything is as per protocol, or documented, or SOPs. Right? Surprises along the way.
Yeah.
You need a totally different mindset of people to build a growth company. If you were to put them in mature organization, they will simply decay, because there it's all about everything is set. You just follow the process, and that's it. Don't be too smart for yourself.
There's this saying that you jump out of the cliff and then you build your plane on the way down. So
yeah, that's more startup, scale up kind of environment. Now, the difference between startup and scale up, I think scale ups, the typical problem is growth sucks cash, because you really need to. You're fixing your strategy. Yeah. You're getting the right team in place, and there are several other elements that come across. Whether execution is a challenge, because for your kind of firm, your kind of business model, how do you execute and most optimally, right? Mm-hmm. And last but not least is cash, right? How do you make sure that you have enough cash? You've optimized use of cash for the business, built in terms of building processes, getting the right team, talking to enough customers, and all the while delivering on the promise that you have as a brand.
Yeah, so plenty of challenges. Do you ever feel like you bang your head against the wall? Like,
no, I think Horowitz, I think Anderson and Horowitz, Ben Horowitz in his book says it, right? The thing about hard things, any startup or scale up, I think, is typically you just have two emotions. Either it's euphoria or just horrible, or just horrifying.
Trouble, yeah.
So you just have two kind of emotions across.
You have those, or you're stoic?
Yeah, I could say. I think anybody in a growth environment or a scale up or a startup would tell you this is it. This is a typical day. You have a morning where you could have everything looks amazing. By afternoon, everything looks like it's dead. And by evening, you look like everything's back amazing. So.
Yeah, but this is on the, let's say, perception of what happens.
Yes.
Let's say on challenges side, where do you kind of struggle? And if you struggle, where do you try to seek, help, support?
So I think challenges side, struggle is a harsh word. I'd say it's more figuring out the puzzles as you go with it, Of course, there's an element of struggle, and if it wasn't there, I don't think it'd be as much fun. It's much more easier to run a lifestyle business that functions and grows at a certain fixed percentage without actually challenging you. That's also a way to do business, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. You need to find your mojo, right? If you think that you are designed and engaged and motivated by growth, then you build things a different way. So I wouldn't call it a struggle per se. Mm-hmm. It's challenging for sure. How do you deal with it? I think there are several ways you could deal with it. There are more than enough resources that you could reach out to. People who have done it all the way. They're great to reach out to and get help from. And a lot of thought just in general out there through books, resources that kind of help you really understand what it takes to build and scale a business.
Yeah. Right. So I guess now I understand the profile, psychological profile. Nothing can stop me, one step at a time. I know what the company is about, and now I want to move to marketing because this is the essence of of our meetings. What market are you after, and who is your audience?
So I think it goes out saying we're a Dubai-based company. This is where we started, but our specialty is the GCC. And I think what we started with was a story that the GCC, the UAE or the Middle East is like no other place. So you don't actually want to do a copy paste from somewhere else, especially when it comes to urban design or even our waste challenges. And that's what's been our driving message from the beginning. And I think it resonates even heavier now when the region's stepping up with its own mega projects and holding its own ground with, among the greatest cities around the world. We have Dubai. Among the biggest projects around the world, we have projects across the Middle East that are really standing up. So the solution that we offer is something that's from the Middle East and for the Middle East. Right. We understand this market, the challenges with it, whether it's on the customer side, coordinating things, or from the end user side in terms of durability and functionality of the product and the elements. We really understand that really well.
But now, looking at this from the marketing strategy point of view, you have specific audience, specific group of people, specific, let's say, segments of the market. So which are those, and what channels do you employ to reach out?
Our focus is on institutional clients, large-scale institutional clients. Good example is Dubai Municipality, who's bought from us every year for the last 25 years. These customers and other developers and so on, these customers demand a lot from their service providers or suppliers. And that works very well with what we offer. A holistic approach to designing, to manufacturing, and a high-quality range of products.
So how do you make sure they demand it from you, from Bluestream? How do you reach out? How do you get in touch? How do you build the brand with them?
Yeah, it's a combination of two things. One is just a large amount of word of mouth across customers. Once they're engaged with us, like Dubai Municipality, it's the fact that we are able to offer them, they see the value in what we offer. And that's why they continue to work with us. And if it's new customers, it's usually either somebody who spotted us at an event we participate in.
Okay, so events, yeah.
Yes, events are definitely more recently been dubious about the performance of these events. They're not the same as they used to be. But to a large extent, I think word of mouth across customers works out well. At the same time, of course, we always enjoy direct to customer engagement, meeting them, talking to them.
Okay. Product presentations or demos?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of factory visits.
Interesting. Yeah, this is like really a sneak peek into your process, into how it's organized.
Yeah.
I remember it was super like structured, very tidy place, no chaos that you sometimes could imagine is in the production process.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage, all of our customers to pay us a visit. It's quite challenging to move from being a trading firm to being a manufacturing firm to vertically integrate. But I think the team's done a phenomenal job of putting it together. So factory visits are something that we encourage consistently. We could do a lot of talking and a lot of fancy videos, but nothing like people engaging one-on-one and actually seeing things for themselves being made. And in the environment that it's being made, the kind of people that make it, and that's what gives you real confidence for a customer, right?
I understand you have a solid customer base, like existing customer base. You mentioned Dubai Municipality, but you also mentioned growth, which is like being after the new markets, new clients. I want to understand how long is your sales cycle, because there is no spontaneous purchase in B2B. And so how do you build the pipeline? How do you, how much time it takes you before, between the first meeting, before the first email and actually close the deal, typically?
Typically, I think anywhere between 6 to 8, 12 months, depends on the deal. And it could go longer because there are products that are, when you look at urban design, it depends on when the project is completed, and it's the last product that's actually kept on the project just in time for opening. So, and that, considering the project delays that we see in the region, can become unpredictable. But usual sales cycles for simpler products, off the shelf retail, could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but that's a small volume.
Smaller
The larger
quantities.
part of the business is, of course, projects, and that typically has much larger sales cycles.
So what tactics do you typically deploy? I mean, you mentioned factory visits, direct meetings. Do you, let's say, anything out of the digital world?
So the digital world, we haven't found as much. It's difficult to measure, That's kind of the thing. For us on the digital space, we have done something that's what we consider base level hygiene on the marketing part. Have we done something phenomenal? Not really. Why? I'll be very honest with you. We don't have, even as on data, as I speak to you, we don't have a marketing team, right? A large part of it is word of mouth. Now, this could be really stupid. And I'm looking to change that. But whatever we've done online has primarily been driven by making sure that our presence and what we stand for is communicated, right? And that's kind of what we have done. Now, has that driven customer engagement, more interest from customers? Difficult to say, but I would be surprised if it didn't, because it's...
And you mentioned the word of mouth. I understand, you approach clients and they already heard about you from someone else.
Yeah.
Which could be the job of marketing. Yeah.
Yes, of course. It is the job of marketing, yeah.
But if you were to choose just, I'm trying to simplify and deliver some insight to our audience. If you were just to, to stay with one interaction channel with your audience, what would it be?
Oh, I think the direct to customer. Yeah.
Okay.
How to engage with them directly. That I think would work best.
I had a look at your LinkedIn profile before we met, and it says transformative and sustainable urbanism. What is this concept about? Tell me.
So, of course, I haven't updated the profile in a while. Maybe it's a good reminder to do that. See, transformative urbanism, we're sitting and talking in a desert. 50 years ago, if you were to tell people 80 million people will come and visit this place every year, nobody would believe you.
That's true.
Right? That's transformative urbanism. We're living it. Right? This is not the Amazonian forests, not the pyramids. This is not the Taj Mahal. It's literally a desert, right? That's transformative urbanism in action, right? And Dubai is a fine example of that, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing other cities in the region crop up to be.
Following Dubai example, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't say following Dubai. They're understanding the importance of building their own metropolises. It's not like because Paris is there, Berlin is challenged, or because Berlin is there, Munich is challenged, or because Munich is there, Barcelona is challenged.
But at least it shows it's feasible.
Yes, it shows it's feasible, and it shows that that's the right direction to head in. And I think that's central to what we do. A large part of the beautification that we've seen across projects and the region, we've been part of, and we continue to be a part of. And that for us is very central to who we are and how we function. Sustainability is something, we are focused on. We haven't seen as much of an interest from the market standpoint, but authentically for us as Bluestream, we always want to offer options to customers around sustainability.
But this is a marketing strategy?
Well, I think I wouldn't place it as a marketing strategy, because marketing strategy is something that could change over time. For us, this is us being authentically us.
So like purpose.
Purpose-driven, right? If sustainability, we fundamentally don't think there is another option. There's no other way to go about it, right? And we have experimented with several materials here. We came up with the first range of granite furniture, simply because...
what are those?
Granite, entirely made of granite, and versus concrete. And the idea was granite just lasts longer. You have the product lasting 50 years without any issues, no situations like cracking, peeling, flaking that you observe with standard concrete buildings and elements. And this was the idea that in Dubai, per se, so many things are imported, but everything is dumped into the dump site. Every 3 years, 5 years, you keep tossing things in. You ought to think long-term, they can actually survive 50 years. And that's where you add real value.
But in a way, this kills your business, yeah? I mean...
well, I think that's where we don't think our business needs to rely on that. If you provide enough value to the customers, they're going to see it and come back to you for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's fundamental to how we work. All of our products are designed to last 5, 10, 15, 25 years.
Unless you probably know those business models from the IT world, like software as a service. So you don't build your software, you just pay a subscription.
Yes.
Have you ever considered this, like furniture as a service? Or
We have not as much interest.
the longer it lasts, the more revenue for you.
There are customers in the market who bought furniture from us and then refurbish it consistently.
Okay.
So one of the strong things on the sustainability side, if you buy anything from us, you literally never have to throw it away. You can come back to us and we make it look as good as new, right?
That's a solid promise.
So that's consistent. And we have customers who take us up on that every year. There are event spaces that happen only once in a while. Before the event, they spruce everything up. Very standard. So sustainability is really something fundamental to us.
All right, now I'd like to go into international expansion. I think this is when you act on a local market, it's not so much marketing dependent because people know you, as you said, word of mouth within the network. So I would say it's a bit easier, at least it seems so. But going internationally is like really proving that you can roll out some type of operation. So I wonder how, because I know you are going international with Bluestream, how do you balance the ambition of going really international with the limited resources? I mean, it's quite expensive to go international.
The fundamental aspect is you go where the market takes you, right? You wouldn't try to enter a market which doesn't have a need, right? So I would say fundamentally it's demand driven. It's not just for the sake of growth. There is demand and then you pursue that. So international expansion for us is we've just been able to, let's say we're in UAE and KSA at the moment, not much else. So it's not really going across the Atlantic or something like that, right? But of course, it comes with its own challenges. International expansion requires you to understand what the rules and laws are in another country, how do they function, and there are fundamental differences.
So research for the legal sphere.
So really understanding from people working in that environment, what's the difference fundamentally? And in many cases, whether you like it or not, the only way to really tell is by trying, and trying in a small way, in a way that doesn't have too many commitments or demands or long-term liabilities.
I see.
So starting in a small way to see and exercise and feel if there's a possibility, and then iterate and build further.
So, well, let's say you are an established brand, a recognized brand in the UAE, but then you go to Saudi and no one really knows you. How do you tackle that challenge?
The main thing is you just look at people who are interested in engaging with you, and then show them what you have. And if you identify a product market fit, that's it. That's what you realize, that these are the people who need your stuff. And it's typically not too different than your local market. If there are a certain segment of customers who are interested in you in the local market, you could frankly believe that the same set of customers are interested in you in a foreign market, especially if they're not too foreign, just a border away or something, because the situation, the systemic situation of the market doesn't change too much, whether it's where they buy from, how they buy, what are the challenges they have with their purchasing and the product lines, kind of similar across markets that are geographically proximate.
That's true. But on the other hand, I think B2B buying is about taking risk. Yeah, I mean, on behalf of the organization you are with, you are deciding to spend, typically a big amount to do something, and then your career depends on that. So I wonder how do you convince those new clients that don't know you that you actually deliver, that you have the capacity to
So this is where our references come in strong, right?
Okay.
Being 25 years in the market, having worked with very critical clients.
Do you try to put it like in the form of somehow case studies or testimonials, or it's more informal?
No, I think case studies for sure. Testimonials work as well. I mean, we offer our customers to do blind testimonials, because that's kind of how we function with these critical customers. So whether the customers, I'd say that's typically what we do, but the customers in the B2B environment are smart. They know how to suss out suppliers better than anybody you could imagine, because they deal with thousands of suppliers across the globe. So I'm sure they have their own ways of identifying, are you a bona fide supplier? What kind of reputation do you carry? Do you have crappy stories in the market? Have you really delivered? So I would say that from our side, we just do our homework, and I'm sure they do their homework pretty well before they decide to engage with anybody.
That's true. They are saying that an unhappy client is the worst thing that can happen to you, because those stories, they circulate in a more heavy bandwidth. Yeah. All right. So now, I'm just curious and want to learn something from you on inspiration and learning. Where do you seek support? Where do you seek, some insights to build further, be it blogs or people or? Yeah.
So, definitely a lot of reading or podcasts surrounding founders and other entrepreneurs who have built. That's, I would say, one of the primary sources. And it's not like there is a lack of sources, whether it's incredible.
There is abundance of just picking the ones.
Yeah, I would say. But once you find people that resonate with you, I think there's no end to the kind of knowledge that's available. And the challenge might be more on implementation, right? What could be implemented at what level and scale for your business is
within the limited resources that you have and time and plan, right?
Yeah. I think the big challenge is when you're looking at success in terms of in relation to your true potential, right? Are you actually maximizing that? And I think that's kind of where the barometer really is. So I would say other entrepreneurs, other people who have done it, there are a lot of people out there, who I seek mentorship from.
Like in a structured way that you would have meetings with them on a frequent basis?
Not so much, but definitely engage with them over time and learn from a lot of experience shares. But you got to be always cognizant about the fact that you have to then decide what's best for your business, for your baby, and it could be fundamentally different than somebody else, what works for somebody else. And usually an organization is an extended version of the critical people building it, of the leadership team building it.
So culture.
Yeah. Culture, yeah. And so you got to be cognizant of whether something resonates with your culture or not.
I'll end this up with a slightly cheeky question about where you see yourself in Bluestream in 5 years.
Where do I see myself and where do I see Bluestream in 5 years? I think Bluestream in 5 years is a long time. 5 years, definitely a dominant position in the regional market, in the verticals that we work with, whether it's architectural elements, street furniture, waste, automated waste systems or play. And I think there's plenty of scope there, especially on the side of design to manufacturers you're working with. For myself, I'd say working on a lot of initiatives, that could be both related or unrelated to manufacturing, but towards sustainable urbanism, and these could be ventures that could be startups, scale-ups, or ventures that are just initiatives within the company that assist in driving the bigger purpose forward.
I wish you exactly that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.